Today I've got the Vox Virage out for a change, and I'm going to be looking at a track by Los Angeles punk band X. Now, X are a band that I've been aware of for some time, but I've never properly gotten into their music until this year, and I don't know what's taken me so long, to be honest, because I've really been enjoying listening to their music, exploring some of their records. Now, from a guitar point of view, it's not that surprising that I've been enjoying listening to X, because their guitar player, Billy Zoom, is an amazing player, and you've got the rawness of punk, but also in there you've got rockabilly and country and jazz going on as well. It's really inventive, really interesting. And for my first X video, I thought I'd look at the track White Girl, which is taken from their second album. This one is quite a straight ahead, straightforward punk track. It's pretty easy to play, but if you enjoy this video, then I'm definitely up for looking at some more X in future videos. Maybe I can check out some of Billy Zoom's more technical and elaborate stuff, but I'm going to start today by having a playthrough, and then we'll get to the lesson. There we go. Love to play this track. That main riff is just so good, I think. As I said, this track is taken from X's second album from 1981, produced by the Doors' Ray Manzarek. And I think Ray Manzarek produced most of X's early records, certainly the first 4 records, which is kind of their classic period, and those are the records that I'm most familiar with. I've yet to explore some of their later stuff, and I think they actually just released some new material this year, but I've yet to check that out. I must do that at some point. So I think this one is fairly easy to play, and whilst I wouldn't describe this song as a beginner's song, I don't think there's anything super technical going on here, so if you know your basic bar chord shapes, then you should be able to have a good go at playing this one. So I'm going to try and keep this video short and sweet, and let's get straight on with it. We're in the key of G and kicking off with that great opening riff. This is really just based off of 2 chord shapes. We've got a G power chord or G major bar chord, and move that up 2 frets and you've got an A power chord or an A major bar chord. We're starting by picking out some single notes from that G chord. So we've got the root note, which is G, and then we've got a D note here, which is the 5th, and we're just going G, G, D, G, G, D, G, G. And then we're adding in this note here, which is a D sharp, and we're going between that and the root note. So D sharp, G, D sharp, and then we're into the A chord here, and mostly I'm just hearing it's an A power chord, so just the lowest 2 or 3 strings. I think occasionally you can hear that C sharp coming through as well. And we're just giving that a down, up, down strum. So if we put that together, and you can actually just hear an open low E string just at the end of the riff, which buys you a little bit of time to get back down to the G, and it just makes the whole thing go round on itself nice and smoothly. that's our main riff, that's the introduction to the song. And for the verse, when the singing starts, we're alternating that main riff with a kind of variation on that riff, which is all played with bar chords, and that sounds like this. And essentially this is just a G major and an A major bar chord with the addition of this really nice kind of dissonant, I suppose it's a kind of augmented sound. So we're starting off just on the G bar chord and we're playing this. So we're playing some muted bass notes and then bringing out the higher notes in the chord. And then we're strumming this kind of augmented sound. Now you can hear this note coming through quite strongly, which is the same note that you hear in the main riff played an octave higher, and this is the sharp 5, which gives you a kind of G augmented sound. And I think the best way to achieve that is just by flattening down your second finger when you're playing that bar chord shape. And if your finger is such that you can kind of bend back that first joint, you can play those two notes at the same time. So you've got the B and then the D sharp. So the actual chord you get is this kind of a sound. If your finger doesn't like to do that, you might actually get away with just fretting the two strings right in between the strings, and that way you can kind of fret the two strings at the same time but still stay on the tip of your finger. That's it. My fingers are a little bit skinny, so I prefer to actually flatten down that first joint. So we've got that, giving that augmented chord a strum, and then we're moving to the A bar chord. I think I'm just doing a down up down strum on that. Onto the chorus then, and we've got two parts to the chorus. The first part is pretty straightforward. So more bar chords here, we just got a G and then moving to a C. The C I'm playing with a fifth string root in the A form, so we just got G, 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 C, G, 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 C. And repeating that quite a few times, not exactly sure how many times we're repeating that, and then we're moving up 3 frets to an A sharp or a B flat bar chord, probably just emphasizing the lower notes in that, so it's actually more of a power chord sound you're getting here. And then moving down to an A minor bar chord, and this time you can hear some of the higher notes in the chord, and kind of arpeggiating some of those notes. I think that's actually done with some overdubs on the original recording. The main rhythm guitar is just chugging away on that chord, and then the overdub is doing something like this. But you can make that all work with one guitar part, I think, with that kind of idea. Again, that's repeated, and then at the end of that section we've got just going from that B flat up 2 frets to a C. Then all we've got left to talk about are the instrumental sections, and there are 3 of these, all with some slight variations, but it's essentially the same thing. It's all based off of some quite simple triad shapes. So we're up at the 7th fret here with it's like a D form triad shape. So if you play a D major chord, slide it up to the 7th fret, and you've actually got a G major triad in the second inversion. And we're kind of partly strumming that, partly just picking out some of the individual notes. And then we've got this augmented sound once again, so you can hear this note coming in there, which is the D sharp. And from video footage, I think you can see Billy Zoom is kind of reaching over with his little finger to catch that D sharp. So we've got D sharp, G and B. A little bit awkward. You've probably got to have the right shaped fingers to be able to pull that off. If that doesn't work for you, then you can just rejig the fingers in that chord shape and play it that way. And then we're moving that major triad shape up 2 frets, so we've got an A major. And then the second time round, instead of going up to the A major triad here, he's playing a different A major triad shape. This is a first inversion A major triad, C sharp, E and A down here. So that's the basic idea. So on the recording you can hear some little variations in the way he articulates that, but that's the basic idea. Let's talk gear then, and I read online that apparently Billy Zoom used various guitars to record this track, and I think it's a great production actually. On the surface it's quite a raw band in the room style recording, but if you listen closely there's actually quite a lot of layers of guitar and overdubs, and it's all done in quite a clever way, but it never detracts from the raw power of the track. So I read that Billy Zoom used a Gretsch. He's famous for using a Gretsch Duo Jet, I think. Also one of the bigger bodied Gretches, I'm not sure what model number that is. Used a Strat apparently on this as well, and according to what I read, a Rickenbacker 12 string as well. Maybe that's one of those overdubs that you can hear in the background. There's also a great video you can find elsewhere on YouTube, which is the band, I think, recording the track live in the studio, and you can see that Zoom there is using a Gretsch for some parts of the song, and then for the triad part he seems to be using a Strat. So I'm doing what I usually do, trying to get fairly close to the original recording with the gear that I've got, and ended up getting the Vox out today. This is just the guitar that seemed to sound best for that main riff. I actually did a little bit of a shootout between 3 or 4 of my guitars, and this one definitely had the best weight and definition on that main riff, and it's actually a really excellent guitar, and a guitar that I should probably use a bit more than I actually do. So this is an original model Vox Virage. I've had it for quite a few years. I originally got it second hand, and it's quite an unusual guitar. I don't know quite how to describe the character of this guitar, but it's got these tone chambers and an F hole here, giving it a kind of semi-acoustic vibe. It's certainly got a little bit of that kind of resonance to the sound, and the most striking thing about it, I think, is these pickups, and each of these pickups is controlled by a 3-way toggle switch, and the idea is that you can get humbucker and P90 and single coil tones out of these pickups. It doesn't quite sound like that to my ears, but it's certainly an interesting concept. Amp wise, I decided to go for my Marshall, and this is a Studio Vintage Series Marshall. I think it's like a Marshall Plexi style sound, but with a lower power, so that you can get those kind of sounds at kind of bedroom friendly volume. It's not exactly bedroom friendly, it's still really loud in this room, but it's nowhere near as loud as a proper Marshall Plexi. And I've got that Marshall set up in the classic way where you're bridging between the 2 channels. So I'm plugged into the top input of the whatever it's called, the high treble channel, and then the bottom input of that is going over into the other channel. So you kind of get a blend of those 2 channels. Just no master volume on this amp, so you just have to turn it up loud to get that overdrive sound. And I'm not actually using any pedals at all today. It's just a guitar going straight into an amp. Fancy that. And it actually feels quite good not to use any pedals for a change. It sounds good as well, I think. That's it for this video. As usual, music and tab is going to be up on my Patreon page, and there actually seems to be very little out there in the way of accurate and reliable X tabs, so do check that out if you're interested. Also put my backing track up there, which you can play along to should you wish. And do let me know if you'd like to see some more X, some more Billy Zoom, and then I can film some more of these videos very soon. Thanks a lot for watching. I shall see you next time. Bye bye.